But, you know, we're not supposed to judge this piece of crap who shot and killed 19 kids. He had his reasons, right? Screw you. This is so much of the problem in our society. There's always an excuse. There's no accountability ever. We're not allowed to actually say anything about it, right? We're supposed to see something, say something, but we all know that if you actually see something and say something, you're labeled, you're bigoted, I can't believe you do that. Maybe you misgendered the person. They'll go after you for hate crimes. You'll get sued for stating the obvious. You know, you're not allowed to actually say something. You're supposed to, but we all know how it really works, right? It's the gun. It's not the sociopath wielding it, folks. If it wasn't for the gun, this kid would be a well-adjusted, reasonable individual. He'd be a wonderful human being, right? He wouldn't have done the exact same thing with a bat or a bomb.
Hi there, I'm Maz Jobrani, and so is that. So today I want to talk about Don Jr., or as I like to call him, Duh Jr., who went on a rant about the Uvalde shooting. You've probably seen this video by now. He's just ranting all over the place. He's upset because the mother of the shooter came out and said, please forgive her, please forgive the shooter, and please, she said that he had his reasons. Now, Don Jr. takes that as the mother saying that the shooter had excusable reasons to go and shoot the kids, which I don't think that's what she's saying, but I'll get to that later. The thing I want to talk about is Don Jr.'s inability to put any blame on the accessibility to guns in this country. At one point, Duh even goes as far as saying that if the killer had not had access to guns, he would have done his massacre using a bat or a machete or some sort of explosive device. And I'm watching him say this and I'm going, are you out of your goddamn mind? What are you talking about? How could that even be a thing? The fact that the shooter had an assault rifle and had a magazine that had a high-capacity magazine, that has nothing to do with the number of people killed? You think the guy could have gone into a classroom and beat people to death with a bat? What are you talking about? These people are out of their minds. Either Duh Jr. is dumber than I thought, or Duh Jr. is trying to manipulate the dumb followers of his father who believe in this crap. This country has too many guns and too much accessibility to guns. Why can't you admit that? Duh Jr., you keep saying that we need to take responsibility for our actions in your rant. And he says that basically there's a mental health problem out there. And yes, there is. Why are gun advocates so hard at understanding? Why don't they understand? Why aren't they able to multitask this issue and realize, yes, we have mental health problems. There's mental health problems all over the world, but there aren't massacres like this all over the world. It only happens in America, where people have easy access to guns. This guy went in and bought the guns without any problems. See, the problem is a lot of pro-gun folks say if you stop with selling assault rifles and all these other guns that, by the way, aren't needed. What are you, Rambo? What do you need an assault rifle for? But if you regulate the sale of assault rifles or high-capacity magazines, a lot of these gun folks say the bad guys are going to get it still and the good guys won't. Well, the problem with their argument is most of these mass shooters, by their standards, by the standards of gun owners, were good guys before they went on the mass shooting. Yes, they had mental health problems, but they didn't have criminal records, or else we would have known about them. How many times has a mass shooting happened and they go, oh my God, I didn't know that the guy had this much anger inside. He was a good guy. He never committed any crimes. And he committed one crime and killed 19 kids. That's what happened, Duh Jr. Yes, there's too much easy accessibility to guns. Guns are the most lethal weapon. If you came to me and said, I want to kill somebody, I would say, go get a gun. I wouldn't say, go get a bat. What are you, an idiot? I wouldn't say, go get a machete. I'd say, go get a gun. They're killing machines. That's what they do. Now, we live in a country where guns are sacred. So no one is saying get rid of all guns. Most sane people are saying we need to regulate access to certain guns. When we had a ban on assault rifles, and if we ban or regulate high-capacity magazines, it's statistics. It will actually diminish the number of massacres that happen in this country. So for Junior to come on and say this guy would have gotten a bat or a machete or an explosive device, what are you talking about? Junior, you are dumber than I thought. And let's go back to what you said originally. You're upset because he's blaming wokeness. He's saying we can't say that the shooter had mental problems. We can't say that the shooter is responsible. Of course the shooter's responsible. Of course his parents and what happened in his life led to what caused this massacre. Of course, no one's saying that that's not a thing. We have a mental health problem. The people on the side of wanting some gun regulation are saying we have a mental health problem. We need to deal with that. But we also have easy access to guns. We got to deal with that. The people on the gun side are saying we don't care about the access to guns. We just want you to deal with mental health problems. That's not going to solve the problem, dumb. That's not going to solve it because you don't know the guy's a shooter until he becomes a shooter. So what are you talking about? Junior? Please stop snorting whatever the hell you're snorting. And he says people are coddled. Look, you're the most coddled person in the world. Making excuses? Your father makes excuses. When he loses an election, your father makes excuses. You're pot calling the kettle black or whatever that saying is. Junior. Ah!